Hi guys, welcome back to E&M Teacher Talk. I'm Emily,
I'm Maddie.
and today we're going to be talking about development, academics, and access. We're going to be explaining how child development influences learning and engagement, and then describing ways teachers can support marginalized students academically. Maddie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so child development plays a big part in how students grow in the classroom and as a person. Students that are still developing may benefit from hands on interactive activities because they're most likely to have like a shorter attention span. When a lesson plan aligns with a student's needs, they will be more likely to stay engaged and actually understand the new material. Engagement is also influenced by development. Students will have more motivation and feel more inclined to participate in activities when they are fun and engaging. Teachers play a big role in making sure that all students have an equal opportunity for learning. One strategy that can help support marginalized students is having materials and activities where they see aspects of their life. So, making lesson plans that accommodate their needs is an example of that. Doing so will make the students feel more welcome and supported. Teachers can also offer different ways of instruction, whether that's visual, hands on, or whatever the student may need. And this is something that we did in our class, specifically with this project. We had multiple choices for how we could complete it. So it gives everyone an equal opportunity to do something that would be best for them. Um, yeah.
I like how you brought up how we had different options to do this project because I know I tend to work better in group settings than I do by myself. So being able to have different options and opportunities for assignments is very helpful.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And then I said how a child develops can influence many things, not just the way they learn, but also affects the way they act with others and their motivation. As children grow, they develop different levels of cognitive skills, emotional regulation, and social understandings. These developmental differences affect how students can focus and problem solve and how they interact with classmates. Because of this, the teacher will need to make lessons that align with students' developmental needs and levels. And then development also affects students' confidence and willingness to participate. So a teacher should just make sure to keep that in mind when also making their lessons and activities, just to make sure that he or she keeps in mind that um, some things can affect the way the students participate. And then students who are still developing language skills, self regulation, or academic confidence may hesitate to share ideas or take risks in their learning. This is why creating a supportive classroom environment is important. And then in earlier parts of our podcast, I discussed greeting students at the door and building strong relationships with them. These small routines help students feel noticed and valued, which supports their emotional development and encourages them to engage more in academic activities. Teachers can also support marginalized students academically by creating classrooms that are flexible and responsive to different needs. Now we're going to be going into talking about families, communities, and inclusion. We're going to describe inclusive and respectful approaches to family engagement and explain how home and community factors influence students' experience and identify considerations when working with diverse families. Maddie, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so I believe that family engagement is a very important part of supporting a student's academic and personal needs. Families know their children better than anyone, which means that they play a big role in their child's development, their attitude, and their engagement, like in the classroom. So as a teacher, it's important to make sure that all parents are getting the information that they need, and teachers can do this by communicating regularly, giving parents updates, and showing respect and genuine care for the student, and possibly some in-person or take-home activities. So the three C's that we talked about in class are um, a great way to start by doing this and connecting to the parents. So the three C's are connect, clarify, and collaborate. And it kind of gives us like a guideline on how to connect with parents in a respectful manner. So it's important to remember that every family has different backgrounds. Not every child is coming from the same um, background. Some guardians may be more involved than others, and that's okay. Not every parent is going to have the same work schedule or availability. They could be going through some personal struggles that affect their engagement. Honestly, the reasons are endless. So, to support that as a teacher, you could have multiple ways of contacting the parents or give them multiple ways of contacting you. Overall, just creating a welcoming classroom that includes families can strengthen the relationship between home and school for a child.
Yeah, that
Emily,
was
what
good.
do you think?
Yeah, that was good. I think an inclusive approach to family engagement means recognizing and respecting that families can look different for every student. In class, we talked about how the word family does not always mean the same for everyone. Some students may live with friends, grandparents, and even foster homes, so the word family can mean anyone who you consider reliable, loving, or like a person you found you consider them home or someone who takes care of you when you're down. So teachers should not make assumptions about a student's family. Instead, use inclusive language. For example, use caretakers so that all children feel included. All families have different culture and background, so it's important to highlight this within your classroom. So, like, have posters on the walls of different culture backgrounds and just make sure all your children feel included. Where a child comes from can also affect the way they learn and participate in the classroom. So, this also connects to how teachers should communicate with parents because not all parents have the time or resources to communicate well. So, as a teacher, you should send weekly emails, make phone calls, and be flexible with in person meeting times. And then this idea also connects to what Maddie has discussed about family engagement. She explained families know their children best and play an important role in their development and engagement in school. And I agree that teachers should communicate regularly with families and show genuine care and respect. And then I also like how she brought up the three C's because that really is a great outline for a teacher to do and communicate with families. All right, thank you for listening. Bye.